Everyone, can I please request you to turn on your cameras? Thank you, and a very warm good afternoon to all of you. My name is Anushka, and I will be your moderator for this enriching session on Let's Go Global International Youth Perspective on issue to tackle issues of substance use through preventive measures. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of our panelists and the audience who has joined us here for this session today. So for a brief before we start, the Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan is the flagship campaign of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India, to address the issue of substance use and addiction in the country. The campaign aims to create a drug sensitized country, and it is done by implementing a comprehensive strategy that includes prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and other enforcement measures. The primary objective of the campaign is to raise awareness about the dangers of substance use and to promote a healthy lifestyle among individuals, families, and communities. It emphasizes the importance of early intervention and prevention programs to discourage the usage of substances and to protect vulnerable populations, especially the youth. Under Empowering Lives, Inspiring Change with Nasha Mukh Bharat Abhiyan, which is the theme of our online event for this month, MOSJ is envisioning a number of activities to discuss various themes around substance use prevention with different stakeholders such as youth activists, educationists, researchers, and other civil society organizations to discuss measures which can be undertaken at their level to propagate the message of the Abhiyan amongst various target groups. Moving on, I would like to call upon Karthika to further elaborate on the initiatives which are being undertaken under Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan in the form of a brief presentation.
Thank you, Anushka. So I'll be sharing my screen. I hope it's visible. Okay. So Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan is a drug-free India campaign which was launched by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment on 15th August 2020. We have reached our 3 years milestone this year on 15th. So moving on, the implementation structure of NMBA is that at the central level, we have ministry, and at the state, we have committees chaired by principal secretaries, and the district level committees are chaired by district collectors, and so on and so forth. The NMBA reach out has been around 2.4 plus crore people have been reached out since our inception. We have also reached out to 55,000 educational institutions, women, youth across the nation, and we have conducted more than 30,000 activities till now. We have our online training on substance use as well for people who are interested to learn more about the substance use prevention. We have around 12 subjects in which individuals can do courses from Tapas online module. It is also available for anyone who's interested. We have our mission Navchetna, under which we are targeting teachers, parents, and children so that we are providing them evidence-based information about how to have healthy eating habits or how to live positively so that they learn about drugs through proper channels. We have our national toll-free de-addiction helpline for anyone who is interested to get counseling or to learn more about de-addiction facilities around the country. So the number is 14446, and the mechanism is to understand what sort of information there might be available at the field level to understand the narcotic situation, like any sort of intelligence there might be present. So people can call up on the number and provide us the information also, and to get assistance in any sort of way from trained counselors. So as I previously mentioned, we have done more than 30,000 activities, and we also focus on educational institutions by creating drug-free clubs or by having some sort of competitions and any sort of development in terms of nourishing the children and the students to learn more about substance use and to make them youth leaders in their own communities. We also have undertaken a lot of activities with such drug-free clubs in Manipal, in Pondicherry University, Bhopal School of Social Sciences, in which they adopt slums and villages in the nearby areas and do awareness campaigns there. In the slums and villages, we also have hotspots, and then we have targeted interventions there in terms of making mentor systems and connecting the recovered users or the users with local de-addiction centers and empowering the women there and creating joint liability groups. These are some of the activities that have been undertaken under the Drug Free India campaign. We also did our inception during the COVID-19 period. So the importance of connecting people through online activities has been paramount. So we have been posting a lot on our social media to connect with the youth, and we have also reached out to more than 17.5 lakh people. We also have online competitions and webinars such as these that we have organized for today. And in this, we also have youth as interns so that they can understand what the ministry does in terms of the campaign and get a more insight of the policy level and the campaigns that we do. We also have a Nashamukh Bharat Abhiyan website, which consists of all the IC material that people might require to go to field and give out brochures or any sort of communication material they require in regional languages and in any sort of language that they would require. We also have a dedicated counseling mechanism there in which people can also give their queries or any sort of issues they might have in anonymously, and it would actually be resolved by trained people. We have an MBA mobile app, which does the same thing, and we collect data from the districts and from master volunteers across the country as to what exactly they have been doing at the ground level, so that we capture all the information at the central level and we can analyze it to make our campaign better. These are just the snapshots of the activities that I previously mentioned. We have youth programs, women programs, we have community outreach. Thank you. Thank you, Anushka.
Thank you, Kartika. I would urge our audience to find out more about Nashamukh Bharat Abhiyan on our social media pages and to visit the NMBM website. Now, starting off with our panel of youth activists, we have our first panelist, Devagar. He is currently pursuing his master's in philosophy and social work from the National University of Malaysia. He has over 5 years of experience in program management, youth volunteerism, and community engagement. He also represented his country in the Youth Forum 2020, organized by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Vienna, Austria. He has written multiple papers and articles, conducted research in the field of substance use prevention, and is actively involved youth in this field. He is also affiliated with the Malaysian Association of Social Workers. We are glad to have you here, Devagar. So, starting off, can you tell us a bit about mental health and substance use, and how crucial it is for policymakers to address the interconnection between the two? And can you also emphasize on the need for healthy coping mechanisms for the same?
Hi, first and foremost, thank you for the wonderful introduction, Anushka, and thank you, Kartika, for inviting me to be one of the panelists today. I'm really privileged and honored to be here with other panelists like Lizard, my good friend, Dikshan Sharma, Emirus. So, coming to your question, mental health and also substance use prevention should come together. It is interconnected in our current generation. So we call ourselves as Gen Z. I'm not from Gen Z, I'm from Gen Y. So now we have Gen Z. So they are our focus focus point right now. So um, I think law enforcement is equally important to address this mental health and also substance use because we can see a lot of youths nowadays they are complaining of stress, anxiety, and depressions, and some of them they don't really even know what is the meaning of mental health. Like there are two different things, mental health and mental illness. So mental health, undergoing stress, undergoing anxiety, undergoing depression, yet is something normal for us in our common life, because we go to work, we go and study, we attend exams, we will be going through mental health issues, you know. But mental illness is something different. It changes the way you live. You have been like carried away from your normal days, your normal routine lifestyles. So what is happening around us is, teenagers thinks that whenever they are feeling stressed, maybe they couldn't complete their assignments on time, maybe they're having issues with their exams, in India, I've seen that many students have been complaining about the NEET exam, which is very, very tough, to score for the NEET exams. So I've seen this group of people, they are addicted towards substance use. They consume alcohols, as a way of their coping mechanism. But more than a coping mechanism, I think we need a very strict law enforcement. Like universities around the world, universities around the world, they should take a step where any restaurants, any pharmaceutical stores around them should not encourage selling alcohols, cigarettes, or nicotines, vapes, things like this. So policymakers should make a strict enforcement. Universities, schools nearby, any grocery stores, any supermarkets, any restaurants should not sell products that can consumed by our children and youths. That is more to substance use. You know, I'm not saying that we should eradicate totally, but the place where our children, our youths are growing, are getting their educations, are nurturing their life, around those areas, around those society, we must create a community that is safe. So that has been my very long initiative locally in Malaysia, and also I've been like sharing to my friends and peers like how we can create a system, a society that is safe. So I think law enforcement is the most important thing to answer this question. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Devaga. That was very articulate, and I am sure your suggestions to work at the implementation of various tactics involving different stakeholders would be a very viable step in curbing substance abuse problems. Since you mentioned students suffering from different mental illnesses, as a senior executive for the student relations, you have been providing psychosocial support and therapeutic intervention for students with anxiety, depression, and stress. So, can you also share some more resources and strategies for promoting mental well-being among the young people?
Okay, usually what I'm currently practicing is we are doing a peer-to-peer network. Okay, so I have expertise in psychotherapy, heart therapy, and also providing interventions. So what we will do is we will identify another friend or another youth who's interested, who's having a similar interest. We will train them. We will train them to provide psychosocial support. So the psychosocial support, it can be provided in the terms of verbally, and some people they are more like a visual person, so we can also provide it by doing some kind of art and drawing. So right now I'm training those kind of passionate people around me, and this has been a very common practice around the world, to address this. So when a student, when a youth talks to another youth, they can actually have more similarities, and they will have mutual interests. You know, the chances of hearing and listening will be there, compared to a very senior person talking to a youth. There'll be more like a respect kind of boundary. But when a peer among the age of 20s to 30s, when they talk to another youth, the tendency for them to listen is very high. So one way what we're doing is peer-to-peer networks. So we are doing more networks and we are creating a group of students, a group of youth activists around us who are having a similar passion on substance use. And also, we are focusing on mental health as well. We don't only talk about substance use, but we also talk about mental health, coping mechanisms on how to lead a healthy lifestyle. That is one. Another one, what we do is we do provide life skill workshops because I think the current generation, we need to emphasize them back to the basics. Because right now, we know that we live using our mobile phones. Like literally in 24 hours, we use our mobile phone for almost 10 hours a day. So we miss those kind of life skills, which is a good communication, living with others, living with diversity, living with people from a different culture and background, all these kind of things. So we often do workshops and seminars on life skill, on how to live in this diverse world, despite there are so many things are going on around us. Like we have so many aspirations, we have so many dreams, and we also see a lot of issues are being raised every day, politically, politically, geographically, a lot of things. So how we can live in this diverse world? So we are also developing workshops, and from those workshops we are learning what we can do better next. So thanks. Hello, are you there, Anushka?
I'm here.
I think we're having some kind of technical issues here for internet connections. So just adding up to my point, some of the things that we do is we often check, we do check-ins. We have a support group, as I said, a peer networking group. So we often check which students are diagnosed with mental health issues, like once a week, twice a week. We do home visits, talking with them personally, building rapport with them. So they will also tell us that how they are actually improving by receiving our services. And this kind of things we are doing for free of charge. We are not charging, so we are doing in a voluntary basis, so that whatever mental health services that we are providing is being reached to everyone. So that's the reason we don't charge anyone.
I'm so sorry. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, Anushka, welcome.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you please continue?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying about the things that I do is a peer-to-peer network group, and then I was also saying that I'm doing workshops, life skill workshops, living in diversity, um, how to live in a diverse world, these kind of things, and also often checking up with the students who are diagnosed with mental health issues, like doing house-to-house visit, building rapport with them. So these kind of things that we are doing for the students here, and all these are free of charge. We are not charging because we want everyone to get the access towards mental health services. Yes.
I think it's a very good idea having peer networks and somebody to learn. I think that's the way to go.
Mm.
And along with that, are there any successful treat models that you would like to recommend, which are currently available in your country to
Okay.
support those
Yeah.
who are struggling with addiction?
Okay. In our country, we have this called as methadone maintenance therapy (MMT). Um, it's a globally accepted therapy. So it's for the use of methadone, where a medication that helps to manage the withdrawal symptoms and cravings among people who are struggling with addiction. So this thing have been ongoing in Malaysia since the year 2015 by the Ministry of Health, and they have saved thousands of lives who are going through addiction through this methadone maintenance therapy. And also another model that is very successful in Malaysia is therapeutic communities. Therapeutic communities is where it's a government and non-government organizations initiative. People who are struggled from this addiction, they are given a grant, they are given uh, some some financial assistance to help other people who are struggling from addictions, because we always believe that people who struggle with addiction, we help them. Once they come out and reintegrate back into the society successfully, these people are the icons and role models to help another person who have a history of addiction, because they can actually do things in a better scale compared a person like me who's a social worker. So we have these therapeutic communities, a group of people who have experience in addiction. They are helping others who are going through addiction across Malaysia, and we have lots of community centers who are practicing this. And also we have this counseling and behavioral therapies in a lot of schools, hospitals, and also in a lot of community centers, and in each and every state and province across Malaysia. So what I can conclude is the model is we have a very good access for mental health across Malaysia, across the provinces in Malaysia. So every citizen in our country, they have their nearest mental health centers, either operated by a government agency or a non-governmental agency. Yeah. So this kind of mental health centers will actually uh, bring them, switch them if they need more further treatment for substance use. If those treatments just involving like a counseling or just an intervention, it stops there. But if those kind of cases needs more support, maybe a support from a hospital, a support from a psychiatrist, a physician, then they will interconnect among the medical departments and also these community centers.
Thank you, Nagar. That was very insightful, and we are certain that your suggestions will definitely help us in creating more inclusive space where mental health is prioritized instead of providing prevention measures for substance use. And next up, we have Liz. As a young activist with a bachelor's degree in law, she has experience in the field of human rights, labor law, and migrant law. She represented Mexico in the international platform of UNODC as a youth activist, and she is currently working as a young legislator for the state of Baja California. Lizeth has written about the importance of prevention of substance use in migrant youth and children. Thank you for being here with us today, Lizeth. Starting off, I can see that you have a very keen interest in the welfare of migrant youth and children. Can you throw some light on how substance use the population and what strategies should be adopted at the ground level to curb it? Else, can
Me,
you hear me?
kinda. I
Yes.
cannot
Should I repeat the
hear you well. I'm so
okay.
sorry.
Other
I
panelists also facing this problem issue. Shan, please tell me if I'm audible.
hello.
The voice is breaking actually.
Yes, just I'll get back to you.
Hello. Sorry, I cannot hear you well. Can you repeat the question, please?
I guess there is some technical issues on Anushka's side, so she told me she'll be joining again. So I think let's wait for like some time.
Can you hear me well now?
Yes, yes. Your voice is
Yes?
crystal clear now.
Okay. Sorry, I cannot hear well the question. Can you repeat that, please? Can you repeat the question again,
Hi,
please?
Lizette. The team will be joining soon. And we will
Okay,
repeat the question.
thank you.
Hi everyone, I apologize. Can you hear me now? Is it better than before? Lizette, are you able to hear me?
Hi,
Yeah,
Anushka. You
better.
are audible.
Hi,
No
I'm
worries.
sorry. Okay, so my question to you was that I can see that you have a very keen interest in the welfare of migrant youth and children. So can you throw some light on how substance use affects this population and what are the strategies that should be adopted at the ground level to curb it?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. I focus on migrants, refugees, and indigenous people. This group of people normally are people who are ignored or not considered. The people who belong to these vulnerable groups have been involved in some challenges and they are excluded from the community, which affect their life emotionally, psychologically, etc. I will not say that these people are more affected by the use and abuse of substance, but we have to perform actions in order to prevent it. My strategies are focuses on mental health and creating a better and more diversity society, providing support in their own languages. We provide meetings in 4 languages, community meetings for all the people who are migrants, refugee, or indigenous in 4 languages. That is English, Spanish, French, and Creole. We cook and share traditional food from their own country and establish a connection with the government in order to create strategies from political public laws and designs programs for a better and inclusive community. And with the kids, we do activities focused on mental health, be that the kids can feel better with their own country, in their own language, and be better with themselves. Learn playing, watching movies, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. So carrying on to that, we would like to know how we can design prevention strategies that respect and incorporate the cultural backgrounds and beliefs of these communities, promoting messages that resonate with their values. So can you give us some examples of such work that might have been done in your country?
The best way to design strategies is listening to your audience. We do that in the community meetings, and we trying to understand them, establish a connection in their communities, and making them feel comfortable in our community meetings. In addition to providing support in their languages, recognize and celebrate their traditions, and we do questions to our audience about why they want to do in the next community meeting, what they want, what is the problems or the big issues that they want to share with us, and we design our own solutions for that. We create solutions listening to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I believe this area has a lot of untapped potential, and your strategies would definitely assist us in creating programs which incorporate youth from different startups. So, thank you so much for being here. And I hope this discussion is invoking a sense of curiosity amongst the viewers. Next up, we have with us Myris. Myris is a youth advocate leader from the Philippines, educator, speaker, and sustainability champion. Myris is a 25 under 25 legacy awardee of Common Purpose, Global Teen Leaders in 2021, and former UNODC Youth Forum participant, where he presented the youth statement at the 64th CND sessions held in Vienna. He is also a founder of Asian Youth Advocates Network, a youth-led nonprofit organization with a mission to provide equal opportunities to youth and the disadvantaged sectors. So, Myris, my question to you is, as a youth leader, can you describe to our audience about the long-term goals of youth-led drug prevention initiatives and how to ensure their sustainability, considering that you have been leading an organization of your own for youth activism?
Hello, I hope you hear me. Good afternoon to each and every one of you and to whoever is listening at the moment. For your question, you did mention that I lead my own nonprofit, the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, that enables advocacy building to the youth across Southeast Asia. So we handle 10 countries, and it's 10, and the youth, 220 million approximately, youth of these countries now, including Malaysia, where we had our past speaker. And of course, one of the things that we've built was programs for drug prevention. I believe we can talk about the local sense and the Philippine aspect for later, but for now, we'll give a global and perspective. In terms of prevention initiatives, I think in terms of the youth sector, it isn't being cascaded enough. The fact is, you really can't see someone who is really focused into to policies that are catered to substance use prevention in terms of in a youth focused perspective. Yes, it was mentioned that I was one of the delegates of the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, but and this is a forum that happens every year. But the reality is, it's simply a 3-day forum and nothing else. We're given a task to speak, but in terms of the policy and negotiation table, our capabilities is very limited. So I bring this all up to ask ourselves this question: is it sustainable? And the answer to that is simply it is not. So yes, this I understand that drug prevention is more of a grassroots approach, but and there are a lot of individuals that are doing that. I can attest to our, especially in the Philippines, where where the past administrations, government administrations, focus on drug prevention is very tricky, to say the least. But um, outside from that, I think that there has to be a way to incentivize, but at the same time, shed light into these grassroots workers focused on drug prevention initiatives, and in order for us to really have this systematic shift towards sustainable initiatives being led forward. I understand it's such a vague advocacy, but in such a vague advocacy gives this more meaning and more importance, actually, because it's still a big problem towards a lot of the youth, especially for those out of school and those unprivileged. Yet it's a topic that isn't sexy, quote unquote, compared to peace and security, nor youth empowerment, nor mental health. Mental health is thriving for some countries; it's still not. But a lot of us tend to forget that, like what was mentioned by the previous speakers earlier, is that mental health is very, very much connected to drug prevention. So why is the amplification of mental health being there, yet yet we're leaving drug prevention initiatives behind? And so, I think as a cause, I think it's gotten, especially for Western countries, I think it's it's in its advancement in terms of policies is very low, and it hinders um, organizations such as mine to cascade more of these programs now. So essentially, if I were to summarize it, if this was a market, if all these causes were a market, it's a market that isn't tapped by, and since it's a market that isn't tapped by, the less youth activists, the less youth leaders actually see and focus on this area of concern. So that's me being very direct now in this in this honest conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Myris, for such an honest and articulate response. I believe your suggestions will go a long way. And since you already talked about it in a global perspective, can you also highlight some successful youth-led initiatives and campaigns that have made a difference in your country?
Yeah. So where I live and where I was born and raised in the Philippines, I think in terms of what's on paper, you are to say in an unbiased sense that the Philippines is advanced. Again, this is on paper in terms of the drug prevention initiatives. Our past president was very one of the when our past president ended his term last year, past President Rodrigo Duterte, and he has been very notable, and I say this in a kind way, um, or notorious, exactly notorious for his drugs prevention campaign for the past 6 years, where extrajudicial killing was very rampant, which again is a whole system, as it has led to whistleblowers, government officials, and particularly the media shut off because of this unhumane because of this unhumane practice that was done. One of, however, if I were one of the things that I would like to shed light on is the national implementation of having anti-drug clubs in all public schools in the Philippines. So if there are 100,000 public schools in the Philippines, all are mandated actually to have a youth club. It's called Kabataan Contra Droga. That's in Tagalog. In English, it's Youth Against Drugs. So as of today, it's still rolling out. All public schools have that. I was recently in one of the provinces here in the Philippines, and I got to meet some leaders. It follows as if a replica of the national government. So in every school, there's a head in the municipality, and the municipality there's the provincial organizational structure. But then and again, it all comes back to my discussion earlier. Is it sustainable? For some, it has. In terms of the system, it isn't. That's me being frank, especially now with the administration leaving. It's the focus on anti-drugs actually is now um, left to be seen. And I did not officially check this, but I would assume that the budget for these campaigns in terms of drug prevention has lessened down since we recently had our new president last year that has no particular focus nor involvement when it comes to substance use prevention. But I can say that there have definitely been a lot of clubs. For example, um, there was one barangay, our smallest form of community, around 500 people in this remote area, where they, because of the youth campaign, because of one of the local school anti-drug groups, they were able to harness a zero smoking and zero drug use community. Essentially, no one was using that. One of their prevention strategies was really on awareness and also on capacity building, which we were actually able to support in our organization as well. So yeah, so I guess if you look at it in the global sense, I think again we're a good example of having such a program that dedicates ourselves into drug prevention, because there are only three clubs that are mandated in all public schools in the Philippines, the hundreds of thousands of public schools in the Philippines. That's Youth for Environment organization, that's the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, which I would assume all democratic countries has, and the third would be the drug prevention group, which is unique in the Philippines. It's hit or miss. It has a lot of potential. It hasn't lived up to its potential, but certainly there are a lot of promises within these groups that I would love to share more and more, as there are definitely a lot of these communities that have that successful initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Myris, for such an in-depth answer. It is certainly commendable the measures that have been taken in the country towards drug and substance use prevention. So thank you for your answer. And next up, we have our last panelist, Dikshant Sharma. He serves as a dedicated master volunteer and young researcher within the Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. He has embarked on a range of projects aimed at tackling substance use, from orchestrating various awareness initiatives to participating in competitions, rallies, and organizing them on his college campus, and also conducting substantive research in this domain. His dynamic involvement positions him as a vibrant youth leader within his community. Holding an honors degree in sociology and an advanced diploma in guidance and counseling, he has also guided his college's youth club as a student supervisor, leading the charge against drug abuse. Presently, he is interning at the Ministry of External Affairs, contributing to his multifaceted journey. So, Dikshant, my question to you is if you can discuss a bit on how youth activists can leverage digital platforms to spread awareness and engage their peers as well in substance use prevention.
First of all, a very good afternoon to all the panelists. And thank you so much, Anushka, for this insightful question. When we talk about social media and in regard with youth, so it is a very perfect combination, I would say, in today's era. And it can be utilized as a very strong weapon to change the social problems or the societal problems around the world. So when I come on this major part, that is how we can bring the change or how we can use this social media, especially when we talk about youth. So there is a lot much to do when we talk about this, but how it has to be done, what has to be the strategy, or what has to be the, I would say, medium, that has to be, very much defined. So, as myself, I have been very active on the social media platform. When there was lockdown and the campaign launched, from that very day, I was very much, I would say, particular about the online events which used to take place and all the online activities which were taking place at that time when there was a COVID period. And that was the, I would say, very big opportunity for all the youngsters or all the people around the world who were sitting at their own cozy space, and they were able to interact with the like different people, whether in the field of I would say change making, or whether in the field of policy making, or I would say doing any type of analytical work. So this was something which I utilized from the beginning itself, and that made me so much inclined towards social media that I started teaching like my own subjects like sociology, geography on YouTube channel. I made passion studies, and then drastically many people, many subscribers I gained. So this was something which I utilized as my skill. And similarly, this can take place in the field of drug abuse prevention. How it can take place, we have to follow certain type of, I would say, strategies. Like first, which can be is uh, diverse content creation is the foremost, I would say, weapon for this. There is a lot in the field of drug abuse prevention. But what is happening is that that is just limited towards their own part. I mean to say is if any NGO, if any individual is working, that is not getting that much publicized. And if it is not getting publicized in today's era, then how people are going to know, or how they are going to learn about their initiatives, and how the sense of motivation is going to come. Right. I don't say that we have to just do everything for show off or publicity, but it has a positive impact also. If that diverse content creation can go on a certain platform and another person sitting at a very long distance is watching, so he or she may get inspired and start working in their own communities. So I would say that in today's era, we should utilize the social media in such a way that when we do something, when we are contributing something, or when we are, making a change in the society, make it a proper record and use that to inspire the youth around you. That diverse content should be very structured and presented in a very well way on the social media platforms, on all the social media channels we have. Secondly, we can have one more thing here. We can use collaborative campaigns. Today, we see that many YouTubers, many social media content creators, create or launch podcasts. That podcast era is emerging, So why not youth come and collaborate in this way? Why don't they talk about substance abuse prevention? This Nasha Mukta Bharat Abhiyan, is widening up, or is like I would say reaching to the I would say success or the zenith it has reached. So it's not the work of only policymakers or the master trainers or the volunteers. It's the work of other, I would say, people who are around us, like I would say the youth icons or the celebrities, if they also collaborate with this and they are acting as a brand ambassador for Nasha Mukta Bharat Abhiyan or the local campaigns which are being launched, so youth will directly get inclined towards these kind of collaborations, and then more and more engagement would be, I would say, we can see by the youth. So these collaborative campaigns can be more widened up, I would say. Then, see, next strategy which I say is that is something with the reality check. If we are acceptable towards our own self, if we accept our reality, then I would say that this is something which is a very good initiative by our own self towards our own life. Because some people do not accept the reality of their own life, that what they are and what they have done. I understand that there are certain limitations with every individuals, but real stories of the people who have recovered from these kind of addiction or the dependence they start sharing without getting stigmatized, right? So if in a positive way these stories can be shared, or in a, I would say, in an anonymous sense also, if it goes, so it can be again a very basic motivator factor for other dependents also, right? So some strategies we can adopt where real-time stories of such kind of individuals who have recovered, they can be shared in such a platform, which really brings a change. And then I would say we can also conduct Q&A sessions, question and answer sessions, as we see many social media influencers doing that. So why not to dig deeper into the drug abuse prevention field and get more into this sense of getting insights from these kind of initiatives like people are taking. So more Q&A sessions can be taken, and that can be more, I would say, insightful. And then I would say the thing that is incentive participation can be very good. If any person who is, I would say, like doing a very good work in the field of drug abuse prevention, especially youth, so that person can be provided with incentives, or that person can be provided with certain type of, I would say, like vouchers or something like that, which motivates him to do more further, right? So a check can be made on social media, like how much they are growing, how much they are popularizing their work. And by this way, the networking will be very strong. The people will start making their own blog spots, more channels on YouTube. And this can be, I would say, a very important encouraging factor for every youth leader, I would say, around the world. So rather limiting their work to their own self, let them bring their work on a wider platform by using the social media. And to sum up my answer, I just want to frame a quote on this change. When we talk about change in the society, that progress, when we talk about progress, so progress is impossible without change. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So we need to change the mindset. We need to change our lifestyle and move towards a healthy lifestyle with a positive change around us. So this is what I'll be framing in this answer.
Thank you, Dikshan. As you are aware, social media is a major tool in the implementation of an MBA across the country. So I'm sure your suggestions and its incorporation will take it further ahead. In a, am I still audible, Dikshan?
Yeah, yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. So we have one more question for you. So you have been working as a researcher in the field of substance use for a while now. So can you share how taking up research work helps in preparing tailor-made interventions? And what are some of the gaps in knowledge that you have faced in the realm of substance use prevention?
Very sure. When I talk about research, so this is something which is, I would say, a very integral part of the society when we need to find the evidence-based solutions, I would say, and especially in the field of drug abuse prevention. So substance abuse is something which is, I would say, a part of deviance. As a student of sociology, we study this very deeply, and I have also contributed a lot in the field through my research practices. And what I have gained personally, if I start from my own self, we get a very deep sense of understanding that what is the problem and how it is from the very grassroots level, how it has initiated and how it will be, I would say, get how it will get uh, changed slowly and gradually, and how it will be affecting the individuals. So each and every aspect is touched in a very deeper way, and this is the beauty of research. Now, there are many types of research. It can be qualitative, it can be quantitative, it can be a systematic review, right? It can be primary data based, it can be secondary data based, right? There are many, I would say, types of research. When we conduct research studies in the field of substance abuse prevention, we primarily focus on primary data so that we can interact with the people on the ground level. But then a major challenge also comes, that is the people are not, I would say, opened up. They are not able to share their problems, and especially the drug dependence, right? So they are not very open. So here goes snowball sampling. As many dependents are in the sleeping pockets of the area, right? The universe which we study, basically the area. So we what we do is that we contact different type of families or the marginalized sections, the peripheries basically, right? Or the people who are unskilled, laborers or such kind of people. So the target group is like more that when we talk about such kind of people. So when we talk to one person, he tells about two more. Then he tells about three more. So this is something snowball sampling, right? We cannot contact directly. So this is one approach which we go through, and this helps us, as I told previously, getting the more depth, or I would say the evidence-based approach towards drug abuse prevention. Now, how it can be more effective or how it can be more contributive towards the abhiyan and towards substance abuse. See, first of all, when we talk about research, it has to be very much noted that research cannot be, I would say, it cannot be something which is a very widened up, topic. When we have to take research, we have to be very much constant. We have to be very much, I would say, focused in the sense that it has to be localized in the nature. We cannot say, if I want to work upon the drug abuse prevention strategies or the rehabilitation practices, I will be focusing on whole India. That is not possible at all, right? So a researcher has to start from his own locality. Localized research has to be the first part, which I say. And this helps us in getting with the cultural and societal nuances or the, I would say, systems which are prevalent. Because drug abuse prevention, this is something which is very closely linked with the society, right? And substance abuse can only be cured or can only be treated when we study closely the cultural dynamics, because culture and I would say society, they are very closely linked, and we cannot directly dig into the medical part of this part. We have to start from the local part. So this is the first element. Then coming on second suggestion or the second part or the recommendation, that would be that we have to have a very strong collaboration with the communities. I am a researcher, and if I want to research on a topic, supposedly any substance in a community, right? If I directly goes, no one is going to entertain me. No one is going to have a, I would say, a support system for me. So when we have to go in the field, we have to have a very first approach, that is rapport building. We have to interact with the people and we have to make them very comfortable. If any dependent is there and he is not comfortable with the person who is taking the interview or asking the questions, will not get any type of response, and the research is null and void. So the more like major part is that I would say sense of mutual understanding, cooperation, and I would say the rapport building is very important in the target group which we are focusing upon, right? So collaboration with the local communities, and this can be also a very good strategy, that we go with the participant observation. We stay in the community, we observe them. We have not to get involved, but we have to observe them. Participant observation can also be a type of thing, and then know the problems and how those interventions can be, taken place. And then comes the next strategy is that we have to focus on cross-disciplinary approach. The so-called like today we have came up with NEP. So NEP also focuses on multidisciplinary approach or cross-disciplinary approach of the subjects, and this has to be laid upon in the practically focused abhiyans also. Like in practical, the abhiyan is taking place. It's not theoretical that we are just sitting at one place and policies being made up. As in the starting, so many activities we came through and which is really taking place on a societal level. But major part is that interdisciplinary nature also has to be focused upon. Now, how it has to take place, I'll tell you in detail. Like, I am a student of sociology. And if I interact with any type of person who is from medical field, he has a very big question mark. Then that how you are contributing in the field of psychiatry, or I would say psychology, right? Or I would say medical science. Rather, psychology is more of a humanities based, but people have a very big type of, I would say, perception that substance abuse, nasha mukti, जो ये हमारा term है, right? ये नशे का काम सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक मेडिकल फील्ड से है. This has nothing to do with, I would say, social sciences. So here comes a very big question that why we can't integrate both the disciplines, right? Why interdisciplinary nature cannot be focused upon? So social scientists like sociologists, I would say psychologists, public health specialists, right? And many people can also integrate into research. Research is not meant for, I would say, medical field only. Yeah, it can focus on technicalities, technical part, but if social sciences are also integrated, so then research can be more community based, right? As myself now, we have been allotted with a research project from the Department of Social Welfare, Chandigarh administration, as we, work in the Chandigarh district itself. So there, basically, we are working on the project of destigmatization, relapse, and how upskillment can be a very big change maker for the drug dependents, right? Because when a drug dependent, goes out of the rehabilitation center, what after that? They have to face two major challenges. One is stigmatization by the society or by the family members, and they are not able to get the job. So if that person is skilled, upskillment is focused, that person is self-reliant, and that's promoting Atmanirbhar Bharat of PM Modi, right? So upskillment, that self-skillment is very much important. And then family counseling. If family is counseled, the problem of stigmatization will be automatically removed. So this is something which we are working upon. And in the field itself, the last time in 2022, in October, September, October, we worked upon a project that was very in-depth project where we went into all the government schools of Chandigarh and identified that what are the problems with school-going students, what they are focusing upon, and how they are involved in drug abuse. Right. So when we jump into the society or into the school education, from there we are able to know that what are the problems by putting up different counseling sessions, or I would say awareness sessions and workshop. We are able to interact, and this is how, because students and we have a very small age gap, and then they are able to interact. वो बात करते हैं students और वो अच्छे से बताते हैं problems. Rather, when a psychologist go or a doctor go, they are having a very age gap. So this is something I would say these things can be laid upon in the research and peer research. The last point which I wanted to frame over here is that we are also involved in this is peer research practices, or the young researchers have to come in the part. Right. We have got to think that we'll be going for PhD, we'll be going for our MPhil, and then we'll take a topic and then we'll go, for our research. No, it has to start from the very basic, I guess, from higher education itself or from the senior secondary education itself, from small projects, from small research practices, and then it can be really, would say, a big change maker in the field of research arena for all the students itself. And the, I would say, thirst area can be very much developed again in the field of substance abuse also. So this is something which I'll frame from my own experiences and from what I have observed in the field of research. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dikshant, for such an effective answer. It is always a pleasure to have you as here for the discussions. And with this, I would like to thank our panelists for their valuable time, and we appreciate your contribution in providing your insights. It definitely provides food for thought and lays emphasis on the importance of strengthening our policies and programs against substance use. So now I request all the panelists to provide their views on one last question. As youth activists from across the globe, can you please share with everyone watching this panel discussion about the importance of involving youth in substance use prevention? As well as, can you share some personal stories and experiences that have been instrumental in creating a positive change for you personally in this field? Can we start with Divagar? Or we can come back if you like it.
Okay, so I have a question. So, an inspirational story that I would like to share is after I involved myself in substance use prevention in the year of 2017. So, it actually started in my secondary school in 2014, but I was still gauging my interests. Like, what am I really interested in? I was like finding a feel good factor, you know. So, and then in my university, my uni days, I associated myself with a lot of societies, NGOs that related to substance use. And over there, I met a lot of peers, a lot of my friends, new friends. I made networks, and also people who are struggling in substance use, you know. So there's one question they will always ask me, like how it can be like this, be so clean, you know, like having proper food, proper meals, and then having active lifestyle and always doing things uh, that people feel inspired. I mean, people, that's common things that I hear from people. Like you always have a success rate. So one thing that I told them is actually when you don't focus much in consuming alcohols, substance, you will have a clarity about living your life. You'll have a clear perception and direction where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years or 10 years. So it is also an easy way to set your goals. And I always tell my friends that whenever you're having a stress or anxiety, when you take a substance as your coping mechanism, actually you are running away from your real life problems. You know, you're not creating a solution. So I told them, why not 1 or 2 days you take an effort by actually solving the real problems that you're facing, rather than spending your money, spending your precious time in taking substance. And eventually it worked to my close friends itself. So, and they are still consuming substance, to be honest with you all. I'm not saying that they've totally stopped. They are still consuming substance, but it have reduced from a daily basis. It became a weekly basis. Now it's more like a monthly basis, once in a month. So that's an improvement, you know. So this kind of inspirational stories I share around my peers. You know, I will say the most simple one, most simple and easy to practice, so that you don't have much to do. You know, you don't have much to think whether can I do it or not, because it's more like things that we are doing within ourselves. So yeah, and also why it's important for you to be involved in substance use is definitely because if not us, then who? You know, so we have a society in front of us, children's, teenagers who are looking upon us. So if we don't lead a good role model, a good lifestyle, then who's going to teach them what is good, what is not good? No? So yeah, thanks.
Kudos on that, Divagar. And we would go to our next panelist now. Liz, would you like to?
Yes, thank you. I think it's about increase the good level of life by generations in our society, and no matter what country you belong, the problem of use and abuse of drugs in youths and children are a problem, and that increase year by year. Why? Because mental health is it's like super bad, and we don't pay attention to mental health, but is for me is the key to prevent the use and abuse of drugs in children. In my experience, I interviewed to a boy for why he want use that drug, like marijuana or something like, and he said to me like, use that drug is for one moment, don't think about nothing, and don't have anxiety, don't have depression or anything. It was like a pill, similar to that a cure, and working in mental health, and at the same time you are working to prevent use and abuse of drugs, increase increase the social life generations in our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Now I would like to call upon Myris. Are you here?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, yes, yes. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So I believe I have the same question with the rest of the panel. As youth activists, particularly in the Philippines, that focused on development work um, in Southeast Asia, on resiliency and on in sustainability. It is imminent. It is imperative for us to understand that in achieving sustainable development and achieving physical and mental health and for access for all requires us to, of course, have this discussion about preventing substance use prevention. I was very, some may probably think that I was a pessimist in some of my statements earlier, but I say this for the sake of improved policy and also, of course, for enhanced participation of every single individual, especially young ones, as mental health illnesses is and mental health conditions are continuing to be digested by most young people and of course adults as well. Um, we understand that substance use is considered as as a release or considered as expression by a percentage of many of our youth. And so, what can we do about it? I guess this is the whole point of this panel. This is the whole point of us learning from one another with our diverse perspectives. So I share this with the whole panel, sharing my stories of continuing development work and civic participation towards young people in the hopes of achieving this. Uh, like what I mentioned earlier, all stakeholders have to come into play, and we should not um, every someone who falls into a victim of mental health illnesses, whether that's very severe, forgive trigger warning for all, whether that's depression or death, is affiliated with the society that we are in, and to improve that society is again to enhance our awareness campaigns into substance use prevention. And so understanding this, no, being honest to myself, not as an expert in terms of this, and as someone that has once been very focused and still enthusiastic about substance use prevention. Um, I owe it to myself as someone knowledgeable and given the privilege to speak at the United Nations before, on behalf of my batchmates, to still have this, um, to still have this motivation and personal commitment to myself to continue educating young people in terms of this cause that we so want to fight for. And so while we continue these works despite the different focuses or areas we go into, again, this is we really want to anticipate stakeholders to come into play and really see this as a prioritization. um, Once again, I the statistics are there, UNODC is there, the academia is there to prove how vital this is, uh, substance use prevention is, but the work that is to be done, and the prioritization, whether that's the government in terms of their funding, whether that's the private sector focusing this on their ESGs and um, on personal welfare of employees and or of young professionals. It, in addressing this structural problem, really it requires us first and foremost to, as cliche as it sounds, is to really be kind to ourselves, and at the same time reach out to the people around us in order to really have this ecosystem of safe spaces across our societies. Aside from that, of course, like what I mentioned, number two would be the amplification of the advocacy, and number three is how policies can really give this positive change that we want um, into this. And this discussion is one of them. Again, the reality is most of our youth would really not even bother attending a seminar such as this. Sometimes we have to suffer the consequences just in order for us to realize how important all these things are. So, like climate change, it's mitigation or adaptation. What do we choose? Why don't we choose both? And choosing both requires heavy investment with our resources together with all our partners. It's so I hope we get to do more of this. I hope we do more action on the ground, and I hope that we continue to bring positive changes amongst each and every one of us. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite, and I hope you have learned a thing or two from not only from myself, but of course from from our inspiring fellow panelists as well. Thank you, and good afternoon from the Philippines.
Thank you, Myris. It has certainly been a very insightful experience, and I would like to call upon Dikshant now as the final panelist to share his experiences with us.
Thank you so much. Although I have talked a lot about substance abuse, but very like shortly, I'll be just sharing some of my experiences when I worked in the field with my close associate Aditya Sharma. So we both have surveyed different type of school institutions. We went for I would say delivering the lectures and as a resource person, keynote speakers in more than 50 to 60 schools, and especially government schools, and located especially in the peripheries touching Punjab, Haryana, or in the areas of Chandigarh. So many areas or in the many schools, we used to see that students are really suffering, and they used to cry also sometimes, telling the stories of especially girls about their father, that he is alcohol addict, and he wants to leave, but again how to approach the rehab center, how to approach the de-addiction center, how to go for the treatment. So the awareness part was very low. So our task as a master volunteer, as a youth representative, was to guide them, to counsel them in a right direction, right? So the best part was this, that we connected them with the authorized rehabilitation centers, which were under the government, which were properly approved. And we also had a very deep conversations with the counselors in the school, that how they can reach out to the students in this field also. Counseling is just not limited to other problems like career, education, gender or something like that. Counseling comes in the field of drug abuse, right? So counselors, we like, as I have advanced diploma in this field, so I utilized my skills and knowledge, and I had a very deep conversations with the counselors, that how they can counsel the students, especially the one they feel that they are having signs and symptoms, if they are moving towards this addiction, right, or they are becoming dependents at a very young age. So counselors also were I would say trained, or they were provided with the right awareness in this field. And then I would say the students, especially, they were told about the de-addiction helpline number that we have for the ministry, 14446. This is, I would say, not at all implemented, or I would say the students or the school premises, they do not publicize about the, like helpline number, the addiction helpline number. So we made it very compulsory. Like we urged them, the principals, that it should be very compulsory that on every floor of the school, the helpline number should be pasted. It can help a lot of students. So principals cooperated, the school staff cooperated, and when we visited next time for the awareness session, so we saw that in some schools, the big posters of helpline number and the approved or the authentic rehabilitation centers were pasted, so that at least if a child is not able to interact with certain amount of teachers or the peers, he can directly approach the helpline number, or I would say the rehab centers. So the connection building was our task. We acted as the intermediaries between school and the rehabs. And as a master volunteer, or as a, I would say, trainer for the specific field, we have utilized, I would say, our skills. Because when we take something from the courses, like I have myself, I have completed tapas course, I have done RNE internship under NMDA. So knowledge which we have gained, that time comes to implement it, and implementation also comes when we see the solutions or something fruitful happening. And when we saw this, so this was really very, I would say, satisfying for us also. So this is something which I'll just frame out over here.
Thank you, Dikshant. I would once again like to thank all of the panelists. I am sure your views, efforts, and your insights will help us in implementing the Abhiyan further in our country, with the involvement of all the stakeholders to include as many youth as possible. And with this, I would like to wrap up this panel and thank all of you once again for joining us. We have exciting events coming up in the coming month, and we would like all of you to tune in and watch, and please give us feedback and suggestions. So thank you once again, and can I request everyone to please switch on their cameras so we could have a group photo there. All right. Thank you, and thank you once again. All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you for joining in, Liz, Myros, Dikshant, Devagar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.